Good afternoon, welcome to Matchday Live, and we are ready to go for 3pm kickoffs, and it's definitely going to be a big one. We've got a big slate: Premier League, League 1, League 2, Championship, Scottish Premiership, Scottish Championship, Scottish League 1, National League, all of those to come. And let's start off with the Premier League, and we have got exclusively live commentary of the Manchester City game. We'll have frequent updates from there, as well as updates from Aston Villa versus Ipswich Town, Fulham versus Nottingham Forest, Manchester City versus Newcastle. That's the game here the Etihad. Southampton versus Bournemouth, and West Ham versus Brentford. And let's quickly show them for you right now. Those are the games. They are still yet to get underway. They get underway in just under 9 minutes' time. We've already had one game, Leicester City versus Arsenal. Arsenal beat Leicester City 2-0. And there's one game later, Crystal Palace take on Everton. Let's move on to the EFL Championship then. Cardiff have beaten Bristol City 1-1, and Preston have drawn with Burnley 0-0. That could be good for the leaders in the Championship. One game still ongoing in the 90th minute. Oxford versus Portsmouth. That game had a stoppage due to a crowd injury, crowd medical emergency. So that one was stopped for a lengthy delay. So that one's still going on there. 3pm kickoffs there: Blackburn Rovers versus Plymouth, Hull versus Norwich, Luton versus Sheffield, Middlesbrough versus Watford, Millwall versus West Brom, and Sheffield Wednesday versus Coventry City, and Stoke versus Swansea. We'll move on to League 1 then. Cambridge City have lost to Exeter City 1-0, and Northampton Town have also lost to Wrexham 2-0. And the 3pm kickoffs in League 1 today: Barnsley versus Huddersfield, Birmingham versus Charlton, Blackpool versus Mansfield, Bristol versus Burton Albion, Crawley Town versus Wycombe Wanderers, Leyton Orient versus Lincoln City, Reading versus Rotherham, Shrewsbury Town versus Bolton, and Stevenage versus Peterborough, and Wigan versus Stockport. We'll move on to League 2. AFC Wimbledon 1, Salford City 0. That one's finished. Doncaster Rovers 1, Grimsby Town 2. That one is also finished. And in the 3pm kickoffs, Bromley Fleetwood, Carlisle versus Colchester, Cheltenham versus Barrow, Gillingham versus Crewe Alexandra, Harrogate Town versus Swindon Town, Morecambe versus Accrington Stanley, Newport County versus Bradford City, Tranmere Rovers versus MK Dons, and Walsall versus Chesterfield. And in the National League, no games yet, but all kick off at 3. AFC Flyde, Dagenham versus Redbridge, and then Barnet versus Solihull Moors, Braintree Town versus Forest Green Rovers, Eastleigh versus Aldershot Town, Ebbsfleet United versus York City, FC Halifax Town versus Boston United, Gateshead FC versus Altrincham, Hartlepool United take on Maidenhead United, Oldham Athletic take on Sutton United, Southend United take on Rochdale, Woking take on Tamworth, Yeovil Town take on Wealdstone. That's for England. Let's move on to the Scottish side of things. In the Scottish Premiership, Celtic take on Dundee, Dundee FC take on Aberdeen, Kilmarnock take on St Johnstone, and Motherwell take on Ross County. In the Scottish Championship, Falkirk take on Ayr United, Greenock Morton take on Ayr Eldonians, Livingston takes on Dundee Firm Athletic, Queen's Park take on Hamilton's Academical, and Raith Rovers take on Patrick Thistle. Well, we are not that far away from kickoff at the Etihad. They are moments away from coming out to a raucous stadium. In the 3pm kickoffs in the Premier League, you've got to say that's the one to watch. It's a big game. Of course, Arsenal already winning. Liverpool play tomorrow, remember, at 2pm. They go against Wolves. Tottenham play against Man United as well. That one's said to be a big game. Liverpool gets underway at 2. Tottenham gets underway at 4:30. And then on Monday, it's all about the Championship. Leeds take on Sunderland. But a big result, though, already in the Championship today. Burnley drawing 0-0 with Preston. So that's one to watch. We'll go through all the lineups for the Premier League games. And let's start off with Aston Villa versus Ipswich Town. That one gets underway at 3. And let's have a look at the confirmed lineups. For Aston Villa, it's a 4-2-3-1 with Emilio Martinez in goal, Roblio, Camada, Diazzi, Digne, McGinn, Tillemans, Mallon, Rodgers, Ramsey and Watkins. And for Ipswich, it's a 4-2-3-1. Palmer in nets, Townsend, Greaves, O'Shea, Tuzambe, Castrus, Calvin Phillips, Joel Nsinko, Omari Hutchinson, Ben Johnson, and up front Liam Delap. Let's move on to Fulham versus Nottingham Forest. It's a 4-2-3-1 for Fulham. Bern Leno in goal. Castane, Anderson, Bassi, Robinson, Lukic, Burge, Traore, Smith Rowe, Iobi, and Raul Jimenez. And for Nottingham Forest, it's a 3-4-1-2. Matt Sells in goals. Marato, Murillo, Milkan Vokic, Williams, Anderson, Oliveira, Alner, Gibbs White, Wood, and Alanga. Moving on to the big one, Manchester City versus Newcastle United. In goal for City, it's a 4-2-3-1. It's Edison, Rico Lewis, Kusanov, Stones, Gradivol, Gonzalez, Gundogan, Foden, Mamouche, Savinho, and Erling Haaland. And for Newcastle, it's a 4-3-3 with Dubravka in goal. Hall, Burn, Shah, Trippier, Tonali, Guimaraes, Willock, Gordon, Isaac, and Jacob Murphy. Let's move on to Southampton versus Bournemouth. It's a 3-4-1-2 for Southampton. Ramsdale, Bree, Bednarik, Wood, Walker-Peters, Aribo, Smallbone, Wellington, Fernandez, Sulemans, and Paul Inachu. And it's a 4-2-3-1 for Bournemouth. They're actually in the table right now. They're in the tunnel right now at St Mary's Stadium. We're getting live pictures from there. But let's talk about the Bournemouth lineup. It's a 4-2-3-1 with Aris Blanca, Kirkes, Hutchison, Sarabani, Cook, and then Adams, Christie, Semenyo, Kulivert, Brooks, and Otoara. They are just lining up now. West Ham, Brentford. We'll go through that lineup now. They are just on the pitch, lining up now. Also coming into the pitch is the Ipswich game. They take on Aston Villa. That's a big one there. Let's go over the West Ham lineup. It's a 4-2-3-1 for West Ham. Areola, Wan-Bissaka, Keeleman, Marvin Pros, Emerson, Souček, Alvarez, Kudos, Paqueta, Sola, and Jared Bowen up front. And then it's Wizard, Shai, Damsgaard, Bimbremo, Janelt, Norgard, Lewis Potter, Vanderberg, Collins, Ajay, and Mark Flecken. They're just coming out now at the Etihad Stadium. That is our game that we are watching today. Manchester City, led out by Erling Haaland. That's definitely going to be one to watch. Those games get underway in a matter of 3 minutes. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back after this. Welcome back then, ladies and gentlemen. Our 3 p.m. kickoffs almost underway, and they'll actually get underway. The 3 p.m. mark has been hit, and we'll see what happens in these next few moments. Tranmere Rovers versus MK Dons is our first match to get underway, and then Wigan versus Stockport. Those two games are the first ones to start this afternoon. Carlisle United versus Colchester, that one's just gone underway. Luton versus Sheffield. Luton were in the Premier League last season. Sheffield fighting for promotion this season. Luton are way out of it. Many more matches getting underway, and there's been a goal. And the Portsmouth game, that one was ages ago now. Mark Mahoney scored just to make it Portsmouth 2-0. That one's gone full time now. They are just about to get underway in the Premier League at the Etihad. I remember we'll have frequent live updates from there, as that is our main game of the 3 p.m. kickoffs. The Manchester City who take the kickoff. And just waiting for the referee to blow his whistle to get us underway at the Etihad. And yes, they do, and it's kicked off at the Etihad in the biggest game of the 3 p.m. slot. Man City Newcastle. We'll keep you updated on that as all the matches now get underway. Newport County versus Bradford City, the latest to go. And we await our first goals of the day. Of course, 5 games in the Premier League. Aston Villa versus Ipswich, Fulham versus Nottingham Forest, Southampton versus Bournemouth, and West Ham versus Brentford, and Man City versus Newcastle. Aston Villa versus Ipswich has got underway, as well as now Southampton versus Bournemouth. Keep you updated on the goals as they go in. No goals yet, though, to start off this 3 p.m. kickoffs slot. Yeovil Town versus Wealdstone, the latest to get underway, and Dundurn versus Aberdeen, Motherwell versus Ross County. Those two just underway now. This could be a big day as well in the Scottish Premiership. And we'll keep you updated on all the scores in the Premier League. We're just waiting for West Ham versus Brentford to get underway, and it just has. Just I say that. So all games now underway today. There's a foul earlier on in the City game. So I'll go for a free kick, but it's taken very quickly. City playing in their blue home kit, and Newcastle playing in their dark blue, or you could say purple, alternate kit, or its away kit. So we're waiting for our first goals of today. It's definitely going to be a big one. So all games 0-0. Finally, Oxford versus Portsmouth ended. Of course, they had that medical emergency. The game had to be stopped for around about 15-30 minutes. They sorted that out. And, well, we're just watching this Oxford-Portsmouth goal. Portsmouth just clear on opportunity. It's really a one-on-one. There was some pressure from the side, but they were able to dig it in to the back of the net. And that's a great goal to get them started to finish off that result there. That was one of the lunchtime kickoffs, of course, though, because of that medical emergency. It was still ongoing as the ball's being picked up at Etihad Stadium. Newcastle had to grab that in. Big chance at Villa Park already, but didn't go well, of course. They're calling for the penalty, but they're not going to get it. It was a run from the Aston Villa striker, but the keeper just took him down, but it didn't look like there was that much contact on it. But staying 0-0 there. There's a long ball played over the top as well, so it's more about big opportunity there, but staying 0-0. No games in any of the games so far. Usually expect the really early goals, but we've not seen any thus far. There is a corner at the Etihad. So there may be a chance here. It's going to be one for, I believe it's Newcastle. So Newcastle will take that one. Of course, this is the first ever Matchday Live. Hope you're enjoying it. Ball played over the top there and didn't go. As well enough. Trippier trying to chase down the ball and didn't get it. And there's been a goal in the Premier League. And it's Brentford who've got themselves off the mark. There's goals in other games as well. But Brentford have scored. And we'll keep you updated on who actually scored. But it's Brentford 1-0. That is the first game to have a goal in it. And it's gone to the Bees. Good start for them. And we have got well and truly underway in the Premier League with that goal. And let's show you the goals now. It's Aston Villa 0-0 Ipswich, Fulham Forest 0-0, City Newcastle 0-0, Southampton Bournemouth 0-0, West Ham 0, Brentford 1. And many more goals coming in now. We've got Hamilton have scored, Queen's Park 0, Hamilton 1, Crawley Town have scored against Wycombe Wanderers. That's Crawley 1, Wycombe 0. Greenock have Greenock are 1-0 down against Aridonians, so that's 1-0 Aridonians there. And it was Kevin Shadade with the goal for Brentford, so they are the first team to score in the Premier League. 2 games in the Scottish Championship with goals, with Hamilton Academical and Aridonians taking the league. It all erupted then with that goal. We'll have a look at the goal from Kevin Shade in a moment when it shows up on our screen here. But it's the first game in the Premier League to have a goal. And West Ham, the home side, will not be blowing bubbles. Instead, they'll be looking in disappointment, trying to see what they can do here. We'll have a look, though, at that goal, if it does show up. Hopefully it does on our screens in just a second. As City have it at the halfway line. But that is the first game to have a goal in it in the Premier League. It all erupted then. Very interesting stuff. And because of those goals in the Scottish Championship, let's have a quick look at the score there. Well, in the Scottish Championship, because, well, it's already kicked off, hasn't it? Falkirk 0, Ayr United 0, Greenock 0, Aridonians 1, Livingston Dunderfirm 0-0, Queen's Park 0, Hamilton Atletico 1, Raith Rovers 0, Patrick Thistle 1. The Broadfield Stadium, though, in League One, seeing something. It was Swan in the 5th minute. Chesterfield have also scored now. Chesterfield goal. It's Chesterfield 1. Walsall 0. That goal for Aridonians against Greenock Morton was scored by Ben Wilson in the 7th minute. Raith Rovers are now 1-0 up against Patrick Thistle. It's Raith Rovers 1, Patrick Thistle 0. That one was in the 8th minute there. Chesterfield also scoring there, as we already said. Chesterfield 1, Walsall 0. All the goals being supplied right now by the Scottish Championship. Mainly all the goals we have seen. And there, Raith Rovers then 1-0, Hamilton Atletico, Hamilton Academical 1, Aridonians 1-0. 3 out of the 5 games with a goal in the Premiership. And we can see that goal between West Ham and Brentford. Oh, it's a disaster. It's a goalkeeping disaster. And then recovered. But it was crossed the line. We'll have a look here. So the first shot comes off the keeper's foot. It bounces up into the air, in which the defender is able to clear it. Keeper's on his head on the floor this way. Got back up, and then a shot. Keeper thought he saved it, but they crossed the line. Goal decision system had a look. That's why we waited so long fully confirm it. The goal decision system has confirmed the ball was off the line, was across the line by quite a bit. So that's a goal there. So Brentford 1-0 up against West Ham. Shade with the goal in the 4th minute. London Stadium seen a goal, but not for their home side. They will not be happy about that. Be a bit disappointing there. Let's have a look at what live score think of the main matches today. Aston Villa versus Ipswich Town, one to watch. Fulham versus Nottingham Forest. That one's actually live on the USA Network in the States. Manchester City Newcastle was on Peacock, so we've had to avert attention to another channel. And then in the Championship, Blackburn, Plymouth, Hull, Norwich, Luton, Sheffield, Middlesbrough, Watford, Sheffield, Wednesday, Coventry. They're all one to watch. League One, Barnsley, Huddersfield, Birmingham, Charlton, Blackfield, Mansfield, Bristol, Burton, Crawley, Wickham, Leyton Orient, Lincoln, Reading, Rotherham, Shrewsbury Town, Bolton, Bromley, Fleetwood, Carlisle, Colchester, Cheltenham, Barrow, Gillingham, Crewe, Alexandra, Harrogate Town, Morecambe, Accrington, Stanley, Newport, Bradford, National League, Fly, Dragonham, Barnet. The list can go on, and now it's just decided to select all of them. So yeah, it has just decided to select all of them all at once. There's been goals in Scottish League One. Cove Rangers have gone 1-0 up against Annan Athletic. It was Rice Breen in the 8th minute with an own goal. In Scottish League 2, Edinburgh City now 1-0 up against Spartans FC. Ennens Lawson with the goal in the 9th minute. And in Scottish League 1, Alloa 1, Kelty Hearts 0. Callum Flatman with an own goal. And then in the Scotland as well, Kilmarnock have just gone 1-0 up against St Johnstone in the 9th minute. And Braintree Town in the National League have gone 1-0 up against Forest Green Rovers. So more goals coming in as we speak. We'll keep you updated as Manchester City on a slight bit of a run here. Chance for Manchester City. Saved by Newcastle. Yeah, they were really pressing forward this one here. We're just watching it. I think it's Gonzalez that runs around absolutely everyone into the box. Hall just covers him up, and the keeper's just able to get his hands to it very nicely. And still 0-0. Still 0-0 at the Etihad. 1-0 somewhere else. There's been a chance of Fulham Forest, but that one remains 0-0 there. City have possession in their own half. There's been a goal in Scottish League 1. Dumbarton 0, Montrose 1. Owen Sturton scoring a penalty in the 13th minute, so it's Dumbarton 0, Montrose 1. What a explosive start though for Brentford. They love to score early. And they've gone 1-0 against West Ham in the space of 4 minutes there at the London Stadium. Scorelines remain the same ever since. Newcastle have a throw-in though, and it's right near Manchester City's goal. There's been even more goals, and it's just exploded into life once again. Hull City 1-0 up now against Norwich City. That's a big one. We'll go over that one in a second. Bristol Rovers 1, Burton Albion 0, Queen's Park 0, Hamilton Academical 2. They found the second. It's the first team to find a second goal. Ricky Lamy with the goal there, and Gateshead 0, Alchincham 3, and there's been a goal in the Premier League. Southampton 0, Bournemouth 1. Good start there. Barnsley 1-0, Huddersfield Town 0. There's been no significant goal. So Southampton 0, Bournemouth 1. It was scored by Dango Otorara, Ryan Christie with the assist. But Bournemouth are second team to find themselves with a goal in the Premier League. So let's have a look at the quick scores in the Premier League while we can. Aston Villa 0, Ipswich 0, Fulham 0, Forest 0, Man City 0, Newcastle 0, Southampton 0, Bournemouth 1, West Ham 0, Brentford 1. We'll have a look at that goal when we do see it in just a second. Otterara, though, with the goal. Let's have a look in the Championship then, because we did say there was a goal in that Hull City-Norwich City game. Of course, Hull City, they are 20th. And there's been now a goal in the Premier League, and it's Fulham 1, Nottingham Forest 0. Norwich City 12th, by the way, in the league because of this result. There's been a goal, though, in the Premier League. Emile Smith-Rowe for Fulham, assisted by Adama Traore. And it's Fulham, the latest team to find the back of the net. And now in the Premier League, it's all going. It really is. It's Fulham 1, Forest 0. So let's have a quick look at the goals, the score lines in the Premier League once again. Aston Villa 0, Ipswich 0, Fulham 1, Forest 0, Man City 0, Newcastle 0, Southampton 0, Bournemouth 1, West Ham 0, Brentford 1. Hopefully we see replays of those goals when they do come in. And Emile Smith-Rowe, latest to find the net. In Scottish League 2, Edinburgh 2, Spartans FC 0. Because of that goal from Aussie C, they are the second team to find the net twice now. Hamilton, Chemical were first. There's only 2 games now in the Premier League without a goal. That's Aston Villa versus Ipswich at Villa Park, and Manchester City versus Newcastle. You always expect that to be a close one. It definitely is. That one's Manchester City 0, Newcastle 0. Goal in the Championship, Sheffield Wednesday, Coventry 1. There's been another goal in the Premier League. It's Southampton 0, Bournemouth 2 now. We'll see who scored that one in just a second. Let's have a look at the first one for Bournemouth. Ball crossed in. I don't know if that was an own goal. No, it wasn't. It's a lovely one. Header. As the ball came across, that one made it 1-0. We'll hopefully see the goal in a few minutes. That made it 2. But that is the first game in the Premier League to have a second goal. Hopefully we see a replay from there. We'll see a replay, hopefully, of the Fulham goal in a second there. But it's Bournemouth now 2-0 up against Southampton. Leyton Orient have found the net. They are Leyton Orient 1, Lincoln City 0. Ryan Christie with the goal for Bournemouth. Justin Coulibaly with assist. Yeovil Town 0. Wealdstone 1. Has been a sending off in League 2 for Bradford. Jack Shepherd for foul play. He's been sent off there. In the Scottish Championship, Falkirk 0, Ayr United 1. Jay Henderson with a penalty in the 14th minute. Jack Shepherd, of course, the Bradford lad, is sent off first. Of course, you love to see it in Bradford. We're trying to look at this goal in the Fulham game. It looked like a ball was just played in, but it's frozen for us, so we won't actually see that goal, which is a bit of a shame. Looks like the ball was just played into the box. Then we'll hopefully get a description of what the goal was like from Sky Sports in just a second. So that one is Fulham 1, Nottingham Forest 0. We did see a little bit of life then. We nearly saw it go all the way, but all I know is the ball played into the box. Let's have a look. Smith-Rowe headers it in. No, yes, that's the right one. Smith-Rowe headed it in. Cross from Traore. The winger beats Williams on the right by cutting inside and then delivers a perfect cross with his left foot for Smith-Rowe. The midfielder pulls off his marker at the back post and nods him past Sells. Forest watertight defence has been breached. It is all kicked off. Let's have a look at the Premier League table then, as Blackpool now just going 1-0 up against Mansfield Town. They are at home against them in the 19th minute. They find themselves 1-0 up. Liverpool have a gap now at the top of the table of 4 points to Arsenal. Arsenal, of course, beating Leicester to get that, and there's been a goal in the Premier League. City now 1-0 up. Well, we'll see who scored that in just a second. But City find themselves 1-0 up now. There's been a sending off at Bradford. We already do know that. Manchester City, though, make it 1-0. We'll have a look at the scorelines in the Premier League in just a second. Don't think we will see that goal. but it was Mamouche with the goal. So Manchester City are now 1-0 up. Good stuff for them there. Oscar Mamouche in the 19th minute with that goal. Crawley 1, Wycombe Wanderers 1 now because of that goal, and Shrewsbury Town have just scored against Bolton Wanderers. It's Shrewsbury Town 1, Bolton Wanderers 0. Let's have a look at the scores now in the Premier League because of those latest goals. There's only one game without a goal, and that's Aston Villa versus Ipswich. Aston Villa 0, Ipswich 0. Fulham 1, Forest 0, Manchester City 1, Newcastle 0, Southampton 0, Bournemouth 0, and West Ham 0, Brentford 1. Doesn't look like we will be seeing that Manchester City goal, because our monitor is frozen. But yes, Wycombe have found an equaliser at League One. And that makes it Crawley 1, Wycombe 1. We are around about 21 minutes into the first halves around the grounds. We'll go through the scores very quickly. Shrewsbury find themselves now 1-0 up against Bolton. Shrewsbury 1, Bolton 0. I believe we already said that one. Valderrame Oliver with a goal. Daniel Adu with a goal at Crawley for Wycombe. We will take a very, very 30-second break. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back to Matchday Live. Let's have a look at what happens during that little break. Southend 0, Rochdale 1. Rochdale with the goal there in the 21st minute. Crawley Town 1. Wycombe Wanderers have scored. That one was already there. Let's have a look at the goals that have happened. while we're on the break. And there's been a goal at the City game. It's Manchester City 2, Newcastle 0. Marmouche with the goal. It's 2-0 now. That is what you want if you're a City fan. And it's definitely looking good in business. Brentford now with a goal there. They have found their second. West Ham down. They were the first team to score in the Premier League. Now they are down. Well, they're down even more now at the London Stadium. Brentford 2. Now, let's have a look at those goals then. Birmingham City 1. Charlton Athletic. Birmingham City scoring the goal there. So that's 1-0. Blackpool 1. Mansfield Town 1. Bransfield Town with a goal there. Reading 1. Rotherham 0. And that goal at West Ham and Brentford has been disallowed. Celtic have scored. So it's Reading 1, Rotherham 0 because of that goal from Reading. That goal in the Brentford game has been disallowed. So it's 1-0 now because of that. It was going to be 2-0. It's not anymore. So it's West Ham 0, Brentford 1 there. Celtic 1, Dundee United 0. Celtic score in the 23rd minute. Callum McGregor with the goal there. So that one is very interesting. Callum McGregor with the goal. League 1, Mansfield 1, Blackpool 1, Morton 1, Aradonians 1. Because of the goal from Morton, Nathan Shaw with the goal there, and Reading 1, Rotherham 0, Avi Nibs with the goal in the 24th minute. That goal though at the Brentford game has been disallowed. Being only one red card, really, that we've all heard about, and that went to Bradford. And Birmingham scoring against Charlton at St Andrews at Ninehead Park. So Birmingham 1, Charlton 0. Gives us a chance in this little pause to have a look at the live scores. Aston Villa 0, Ipswich 0, Fulham 1, Forest 0, Man City 2, Newcastle 0, Southampton 0, Bournemouth 2, West Ham 0, Brentford 1. Of course, Manchester City finding a second at the Etihad. Greenock Morton with the goal and Aradonians to make it 1-1. And in the Scottish Championship, Raith Rovers have scored. It's Raith Rovers 2, Patrick Thistle 0. Finlay Pollock with the goal there. And in Scottish League 1, the first team to find the third. Queen of the South 0, Arbroath 3. It doesn't feel like we've seen that score at all. Arbroath 3 now, Queen of the South 0. Matthew Douglas in the 26th minute with an own goal. So that one, a bit unfortunate there for Queen of the South. They're not looking good. And we are around about 27 minutes into our first half. Around the country. Fulham 1. Nottingham Forest remains there. And we've had a few goals. Leyton Orient finding their second against Lincoln City. It's Leyton Orient 2. Lincoln City 0. Just waiting for our monitor to stop, and there might have been a goal at the City game. No, I don't think it has been. Whatever it is, they're getting very animated about it. So it's Manchester City 2, Newcastle 0. Leyton Orient, we just said they went 2-0 up against Lincoln. It was Sonny Perkins with the goal in the 28th minute. So Mamouche has scored both of Manchester City's goals. Here's the chance for Manchester City they're talking about. Right in front of goal. What a save from the Newcastle keeper. Zubraka with a great one there. Yeah, very close to a third for City. Dubraka just spreads out. Great reaction time. Just checking the lines for it. He's definitely on. And, well, there was a chance here for New. Oh, it was so close. It was so close. They were just showing a replay. And in the City game, it flashed back. City were having a run. Ball was squared into the box. They're expecting a third of the Etihad. That's how close it was. Good save though by Dubravka again. Newcastle being put under pressure now at the Etihad. There's been a goal for Mansfield. Blackpool went 1-0 up. Then Mansfield went 1-1. Mansfield have found their second. It's Blackpool 1, Mansfield Town 2. In the 29th minute there, Ray Rose 2, Patrick Thistle 0. A goal in the Blackpool-Mansfield game was by Keanu Bacchus in the 29th minute. Cove Rangers now 2-1 up against Annan Athletic. Findlay Marshall scoring in the 28th minute. And, well, we haven't ever seen that goal in the West Ham Brentford game because it's been so long since we've seen it. Because, well, really, it was incredible. A yellow card shown to Thomas Souček. So, very interesting stuff there. Axel Zambia for Ipswich has also been shown a yellow card versus Aston Villa. That is the only game that's still 0-0 in the Premier League. So close to finding a second at the third at the Etihad. There's been a goal in the Scottish Premiership. Dundee 0, Aberdeen 1. Kevin Nisbet with a goal in the 29th minute. And there's been a goal. Barnet 1, Solihull Moors 0 in the 28th minute there. And Eastleigh now 1-0 over Aldershot Town in the 31st minute. Of course, we're bringing you all the scores as we get them, as they come. Here there's been a goal. Well, we've already said that goal. It's just shown up now for some reason once again. Let's have a look at the Premier League goals and the scorelines as they currently stand. All games alive as they are in around about the 30th minute now. Aston Villa 0, Ipswich 0, Fulham 1, Forest 0, Manchester City 2, Newcastle 0, Southampton 0, Bournemouth 0, and West Ham 0, Brentford 1. And while we get a chance, let's go in a little bit in depth on these games. Aston Villa, Ipswich still 0-0 there. We haven't heard from that one whatsoever. Fulham 1-0. Forest, Smith Rowe scored there to put them 1-0 up. Crossing ahead of there. City 2-0 Newcastle. I mean, City look like they won a third at this rate. Newcastle putting all the pressure on the keeper, but the keeper doing well to put the pressure back. So it's Manchester City 2, Newcastle 2-0 there in our featured 3 p.m. kickoff of the game. Southampton now 0, Bournemouth 2. Bournemouth putting some very big pressure on there. And then West Ham 0, Brentford 1. They thought they had a second there, the London Stadium. Brentford were the first team to score in the Premier League this afternoon of the 3 p.m. kickoffs, but they had a second disallowed. Let's go back. There's been more goals. In the National League, Eastleigh 1, Aldershot 0. Jay Semenyo with a goal in the 30th minute. Also in the National League, Barnet 1, Solihull Moors 0. We'll stop right there. Dominic Telford with the goal, actually. We'll stop right there. We said they were expecting a third of the Etihad. They've got a third. Manchester City 3, Newcastle 0. The first team to get 3 in the Premier League. You wouldn't say it was Manchester City, considering their recent form. That is a goal, though, there for them. We see the celebrations. And guess who it was? It's a hat-trick for Mamouche. 19th minute, 24th minute, and now at the 33rd minute to his list. Manchester City 3, Newcastle 0. What a signing this is proving to be for City. We're just watching this. Ball's on the wing here. And then just find their way into the box. Squared in. Little tap in. There was a attempted sliding block there from one of the Newcastle players, but it was just a bit too late, and Dubravka went the other way. Only slightly, though. The scoreline won't be changed. It's City 3, Newcastle 0. Very interesting stuff. Score correction for the Sheffield Wednesday Coventry City game. That goal's been disallowed. They thought they had one. It's Sheffield Wednesday 0, Coventry City won. It could have been 2-0 Coventry City, but no. Let's go over, because there's been loads of goals, to say the least. Missed opportunity at the Aston Villa Ipswich game. So let's have a look at the goals then. We had Dundee Aberdeen. Millwall have gone 1 up against West Brom. That one is in the 18th minute. I'm a bit concerned about that. Jake Cooper with a goal in the 19th minute. We're just checking why that game and the Millwall one has been a little bit put off there, because they're only in the 20th minute. And considering it's 3:34, they're going to be playing for quite a while. They probably will be playing while we've gone off air. We're just having a look why that Millwall game's in the 20th minute. And it was because, there you go, today's fixture kicking off at 3:15 due to travel congestion in the local area. So kickoff delayed until 3:15 there, just because of the travel congestion there. So they found 1-0 there. It's Millwall 1, West Brom 0. We'll move on from that when we find that Millwall goal. Okay, we won't find that Millwall goal. But we've already gone over that one. Braintree 2, Forest Green Rovers 0. Sheffield Wednesday, we've already gone over that one. That one's staying 1-0 Coventry City after a score correction. Motherwell 0, Ross County 1. Ross County Hale in the 32nd minute. Dundee FC 0, Aberdeen 1. Kevin Nisbet with the goal there. I've already said that, so let's go on more. Stirling Albion 0, Forfar 1. Russell McLean with the goal in the 33rd minute. And in the National League, Braintree 2, Forest Green 0. Tom Blackwell in the 32nd minute with a goal. Off the game of the Etihad, there's been more goals. More corners for City than Newcastle. And there's been a goal in the Scottish Championship, and it's Celtic 2, Dundee United 1, and then big goal, and an even bigger goal into the Premier League. Nottingham Forest find an equaliser. The first team to find an equaliser in the Premier League. That one's 1-0, 1-1 there. Chris Wood with the goal. Dagenham and Redbridge have found the first. AFC Flight 0, Dagenham and Redbridge 1 in the 36th minute. Jota scored for Celtic in the Dundee game. So it's Fulham 1, Nottingham Forest 0. So let's have a look at all the scores then in the Premier League as they currently scan. Aston Villa 0, Ipswich 0, Fulham 1, Forest 1, City 3, Newcastle 0, Southampton 0, Bournemouth 2, West Ham 0, Brentford 1. We'll have all the scores at half time. All the games are around about 37 minutes, except from that Millwall game because of that travel congestion. So that one will finish probably later than expected. It was Jota who scored. McGregor scored the first, remember, in the 23rd minute. Jota, the returning man to the Celtic side, has scored in the Celtic Park. Well, they're up for that because of that. So it's Celtic 2, Dundee United 0. Yeah, great stuff for Celtic. More goals then. Reading 1, Rotherham United found the equaliser. It's 1-1 there in the 38th minute. It was Rafiq Kahil with the goal for Dagenham and Redbridge against AFC Flight in the 37th minute there. Man City hailing their new hero though in the Scottish League 2. Clyde have scored 1, Peterhead 0, Clyde 1, Andy Murdoch with the goal in the 38th minute there. Southend have found an equaliser. It's Southend 1, Rochdale 1 in the 39th minute there. Luton Sheffield United still 0-0. Did see a stat. It'll be around about the first time in league history that if Luton get relegated from the Scottish Championship to League 1, it's the first time a team has gone from Premier League to Championship to League 1 in the space of around about 2 seasons. Of course, they were relegated from the Premier League last season. They are last in the table in the Championship, so you could see something else there. We did have live coverage of a game in the Championship last night. QPR versus Derby. We saw 2 goals in our space of commentary, and then during our live score part of the stream, they found another 2, and that one finished 4-0 to QPR there. Derby County not happy. Of course, they signed the manager the day before, though, so that's a bit of a disadvantage you have. That Southend goal has been ruled out. So that's Southend 0, Rochdale 1. Celtic 2-0 goal. That goal from Jota was assisted by Aaron Trusty, and that Rotherham United goal has been ruled out. We'll take a quick break here on FT Sport. We'll have more goals just before half time after this. Welcome back. There's been more goals while we've been on the break. Fulham have found, Nottingham Forest have found their equaliser, and that one actually, I believe, no, it didn't get ruled out, so that's 1-1 there. Celtic scoring 2-0, that was earlier. The Southend score has been ruled out. Rotherham's goal been ruled out. That's where we got up to. Middlesbrough 0, Watford with the goal, so Watford 1-0 up. Axel Trevisi for Ipswich sent off. Millwall have been equalised. West Brom with a goal. It's Millwall 1, West Brom 0, Falkirk 0, Ayr United 2. And while we've been on the break, there's been a goal in the Premier League. West Ham 0, Brentford 2. Johan Wissa in the 41st minute, assisted by, oh wow, another one disallowed. That goal we were just talking about has been disallowed, so it will remain 1-0. What a shame. What a massive shame for Brentford there. They've had 2 goals now ruled out. That one ruled out due to offside. So let's have a quick look at goals in the Premier League in just a second. I believe we can get it up for you. Now let's get it up. Let's see what the kickoffs look like. Aston Villa 0, Ipswich 0, Fulham 1, Nottingham Forest 1, Man City 3, Newcastle 0, Southampton 0, Bournemouth 0, West Ham 0, Brentford 1. Game's going to start going to half-time then. Sterling Albion have found a goal against Forfar. They have levelled it. It's in the Scottish League 2. Sterling Albion 1, Forfar 1, Jack Harkness with the goal. There you're watching FT Sport Matchday live, going through all the 3 p.m. kickoffs in and around the country. And what games we're seeing, there's been a goal in the National League. Ipswich United 1, York City 0. That one just going to the 45th minute now. So we will see loads of games going to half-time very, very shortly. That Millwall one we won't see for around about another 15 minutes though. Or probably a little bit more than that. Of course, West Brom found their equaliser. It's Brian in the 26th minute with an own goal. But that one's in the 30th minute. That one was delayed by 15 minutes due to travel congestion around the local area. So they thought, well, let's delay it to 3:15. So they did delay it to 3:15. So that one will end a lot later than the rest. First game to go to half-time then. In the Scottish League 2, Peterhead 1, Clyde 1. More goals coming in then. Luton Town 0, Sheffield United 0. That one goes to half-time. Oldham 0, Sutton United 0. That one goes to half-time. Eastleigh have found a second against Aldershot Town in the 45th plus 1 minute. So it's Eastleigh 2, Aldershot 0. We'll say loads of games in the next 3 minutes that are going to half-time. Cove Rangers 2 and an Athletic 1. Scottish League 1, that's on to half-time. League 2, Morecambe 1, Accrington 0, half-time. 2 games in the Championship that have gone to half-time. Hull 1, Norwich 0, Luton 0, Sheffield 0. Both those games going to half-time. Ebbsfleet 1 now, York 0, Queen's Park, Hamilton Academical 2, Stranraer 0, Elgin City 0, Alloa 2, Kelly Hearts 0. All those games going to half-time. Eastleigh have scored against Aldershot. We've already said that one. Manchester City, Newcastle now at half-time. Reading 1, Rotherham 0 at half-time. All these games at half-time. Dumbarton 2, Montrose 2, Bromley 0, Fleetwood 0. We'll go all over them in these half-time break, but they have all just come off now at the Etihad. So it's Manchester City 3, Newcastle 0, Ebbsfleet 0, York 0, that goal for Ebbsfleet being ruled out. Middlesbrough 0, Watford 1 in the Championship. That one going to half-time. The Oval have just found a goal against Wealdstone. It's the Oval 1, Wealdstone 1 in the 45th plus 1 minute. That's Cheltenham 0, Barrow 1, Raith Rovers 2, Patrick Thistle 0, Sheffield Wednesday 0, Coventry 1, Southampton 0, Bournemouth 2, Fulham 1, Nottingham Forest 1, Oldham 0, Sutton 0. And they'll keep on coming. Wow, it is all going off here. Scottish Premiership, half-time, Celtic 2, Dundee 0, AFC Flight 0, Dagenham and Redbridge 1. Both those games going to half-time there. Celtic, of course, finding the goal from Jota there. Falkirk 1, Ayr United 2. They get one back. Liam Henderson with a goal just before half-time in the Scottish Championship. Scottish Premiership now. Dundee 0, Aberdeen 1. That one's gone to half-time. Whoa, we got to breathe. We can breathe a little bit more. Just a little bit more, to say the least. Been a goal from Bonnyrigg Rose in the Scottish League 2. East 5th 0. Bonnyrigg Rose 1. Cameron Ross with a goal. Barnet 1. Solihull Moors 1. Yeovil 1. Wealdstone 1 with that goal. Morton 1. Aridonians 1. Queen of the South 0. Arbroath 3. All these games going to half-time. Birmingham 1. Charlton 0. Gillingham 0. Crewe 0. Southend 0. Rochdale 1. Fulham 1. Nottingham Forest 1, Stevenage 0, Peterborough 0, Harrogate Town 0, Swindon 0. They've gone off at Fulham now. Ebbsfleet 0, York 0. That disallowed goal taking place there. So that will go 0-0 in the National League as they go off the pitch there. National League half-time. Eastleigh 2, Aldershot 0. They're coming off the Bournemouth game as well. Championship, Stoke 0, Swansea 0. Half-time, Scottish League 2, Edinburgh City 2, Spartans FC 0. So Southampton 0, Bournemouth 2 as they come off it half-time there. League 1 half-time, Barnsley 1, Huddersfield 0. And we'll keep them coming, we'll keep them coming, but they're not coming just yet. In the Scottish Championship, Livingston 0, Dunderfilm 0, Crawley 1, Wycombe 1, respectively in the Scottish Championship and League 1. League 1 then, Bristol Rovers 1, Burton 0, as they all are coming off. League 2, Tranmere 0, MK Dons 1. Still playing at London Stadium, West Ham 0, Brentford 1, but that one's set to go to half-time in just a few moments. Motherwell 0, Ross County 1. As that one goes to half-time, it's all coming. Remember, Ipswich have had a player sent off as well. It is definitely all coming in. And remember, we'll go over all the scores at the half-time break very shortly, and we'll definitely bring them all to you at full time as they come. Definitely some great games here. Oh, we got to take a drink. It's getting a lot. Oh, it's definitely getting quite a lot. Aston Villa 0, Ipswich 0, that one going to half-time. Wigan 0, Stockport 0, that one going to half-time. Hartlepool 0, Maidenhead 0, that one goes to half-time. Twensby, remember, was the player sent off for Ipswich as they come off at Villa Park. Surely they've got to find a goal, Villa. They've got to capitalise on the 10-man Ipswich in the second half. Shrewsbury 1, Bolton 0, Stirling Albion 1, Forfar 1, Gateshead 0, Altrincham 1, Braintree 2, Forest Green 0. All those games going to full time. Marmoush hat-tricks giving Manchester City a 3-0 half-time lead versus Newcastle. Bournemouth are 2-0 up at Southampton. Brentford lead West Ham as they leave the pitch there. So it's West Ham 0, Brentford 1. This is great to see where they all come. One game that's not going to half-time every soon. It's the one at the Den. Millwall 1, West Brom 1. That one's at 36th minute there. The overall Wealdstone 1-1 there. As that one goes to half-time in the National League. Loads of great games, though, going on here. So, hopefully we get a little break and then we can go over all of those there. They're coming off at Brentford. We've already said that. West Ham 0, Brentford 1. We're having a look at the goals then. Mamouche, first goal. On top goal, chip over the keeper. There you go, that's the first goal. Mamouche scoring his first of 3 to put City 1-0 up. They're coming off at London Stadium. It's West Ham 0, Brentford 1 at half-time there. And that gives us a great opportunity. We'll take a break. We'll be right back with all the goals and all the scores at half-time. At the break. We'll see you after this short break. Welcome back. We can sit back, we can relax for a few moments, and let's go over all the scores from all the leagues in the UK. Well, we're still trying to catch our breath here over the last few minutes. Okay, we'll start off with the Premier League then, and we'll get you our graphic on screen now. All these goals remaining the same as we last saw you. Aston Villa 0, Ipswich 0, Fulham 1, Nottingham Forest 1, Man City 3, Newcastle United 3. No, that's wrong. Let's start again. Take the graphic off. Let's start again. Here we go. Here are the halftime scores then. In the Premier League. Aston Villa 0, Ipswich 0. Fulham 1, Nottingham Forest 1. Manchester City 3, Newcastle 0. Southampton 0, Bournemouth 2. West Ham 0, Brentford 1. In the EFL Championship, Blackburn Rovers 0, Plymouth Argyle 0. Hull City 1, Norwich City 0. Luton Town 0, Sheffield United 0. Middlesbrough 0, Watford 1. Sheffield Wednesday 0, Coventry City 1. Stoke City 0, Swansea City 0. Millwall 1, West Brom 1. That game's still going. In League 1, Barnsley 1, Huddersfield Town 0. Birmingham City 1, Charlton Athletic 0. Blackpool 1, Mansfield Town 2. Bristol Rovers 1, Burton Albion 0. Crawley Town 1, Wycombe Wanderers 1. Leyton Orient 2, Lincoln City 0. Reading 1, Rotherham United 0. Shrewsbury Town 1, Bolton Wanderers 0. Stevenage 0, Peterborough United 0. Wigan Athletic 0, Stockport County 0. In League 2, Bromley 0, Fleetwood Town 0. Carlisle 0, Colchester 0. Cheltenham 0, Barrow 1. Gillingham 0, Crewe Alexandra 0. Harrogate Town 0, Swindon Town 0. Morecambe 0, Accrington Stanley 0. Newport County 0, Bradford City 0. Tranmere Rovers 0, MK Dons 1. Walsall 0, Chesterfield 1. In the National League, AFC Flight 0, Dagenham and Redbridge 1. Barnet 1, Solihull Moors 0. Braintree Town 0, Forest Green Rovers 0. Eastleigh 2, Aldershot Town 0. FC Leeds United 0, York City 0. FC Halifax Town 0, Boston United 0. Gateshead FC 0, Altrincham 1. Hartlepool United 0, Maidenhead United 0. Oldham Athletic 0, Sutton United 0. Southend 0, Rochdale 1. Woking 0, Tamworth 0. Yeovil Town 1, Wealdstone 1. Moving on to Scotland, the Scottish Premiership. Celtic 2, Dundee United 0. Dundee FC 0, Aberdeen 1. Kilmarnock 1, St Johnstone 0. Motherwell 0, Ross County 1. The Scottish Championship. Falkirk 1, Ayr United 2. Greenock Morton 1, Iredonians 1. Livingston 0, Dunderfilm Athletic 0. Queen's Park 0, Hamilton Academical 2. Raith Rovers 2, Patrick Thistle 0. And those are all the games from around England. There is still one game that is still live, and that is the Millwall game, and we'll tell you when that one goes to full time. But that one is still ongoing. That one is the only game still ongoing. That one's 1-1 there, and that one's in the 43rd minute. Of course, the reason why that one's still ongoing is because of the delayed kickoff to 3:15 because of that 3:15 delayed kickoff because of the local traffic and delays in the local traffic around the local area. So that's why they delayed it. So that's why it's around about 15 minutes behind everyone else. So that one will be at half time while everyone else gets back underway. The earlier games will start to get back underway very shortly. But we'll see when they do very quickly. Just waiting though for those games to get back underway. And let's have a closer look at the Premier League. Of course, all games half time. So Aston Villa 0, Ipswich 0. The reason that's still 0-0, well, I don't know how that's going to stay 0-0 for much longer, because Ipswich are one man down because of a red card. So they are 10 man. So like we said, Aston Villa surely have to take an advantage going into that second half, and they've got to capitalise on it, or else they're not going to do that well. To be honest, I expect at least 2 goals from them in this second half. Moving on, Fulham 1, Nottingham Forest 1. Smith Rowe with the goal for Fulham. Forest had the equaliser around the 37th minute there. Marmoush has been, saluted at the Etihad. Manchester City 3, Newcastle 0. He has scored a hat-trick. Could we see some more? Could we see a 6-0? We don't know. So Manchester City 3, Newcastle 0. Southampton 0, and Bournemouth 2. And then West Ham 0, Brentford 1. There was 2 goals that Brentford has had disallowed already in this one. So they could have been 3-0 up, just like Manchester City. But unlike them, they are away. However, those 2 goals ruled out. We do know one of them were ruled off for offside. Some games that are going to start to get back underway very shortly include the one at the Etihad with Manchester City versus Newcastle. It do look like there is going to be a change at half time for Newcastle, either 1 or 2. So very interesting stuff there. So we'll see what happens there. We're just trying to get this fixed. There is an issue with our monitor. It keeps freezing. It freezes at the worst moments as well. But yes, they are coming back on. The only downside is we just don't get to see any other replays. Unless we can find one which does has it, but that's just deciding no. So in the City game, they're back out on the pitch then for the second half. Latest scores then in the Scottish Championship. 3 games still at half-time. Falkirk 1, United 2, Livingstone 0, Dunderfilm Line 1, 0, sorry. So 0-0 there. That one's just gone back live again. Morton 1, Aerodonians 1, Queen's Park 0, Hamilton 2, those last 2 live. And Raythrowers 2, Patrick Thistle 0. That one is still a half-time. There's been an early goal, though. It's the first one. And there are loads of them coming in. Loads of games. There's about 3 games that have scored in the opening minute of this second half. Can't tell you that Millwall game has gone 1-1 at the half-time whistle. Finally there. Right then. It's gone. Cheltenham Town 0. Barrow 2. Hull City 1, Norwich City, we knew they had to come back. Norwich City 1-1 now. They scored earlier on. And Bromley 1, Fleetwood Town 0. They take the lead. It was 0-0 going into the break. They've scored there. Josh Sargent with the goal for Norwich. Ben Whitfield with the goal for Barrow. And Michael Cheek with the goal for Bromley. both Miley and Livramento coming on for Newcastle at the break at the Etihad. And it just doesn't seem to be working our monitor at the moment. So that is absolutely lovely. So, Norwich, Josh Sargent scoring there to make it 1-1. Well, that's just really what you want to see. If you're a Norwich fan, they must have got a really bad telling off or something at the break, because they've just got right back into it. Right then, our monitor is now working there, but as they get back underway, we'll take a quick break. Here, Matchday Live continues after this. Welcome back to Matchday Live. Let's have a look what's happened during the break then. Barnet 1, Solihull Moors have scored. It's Barnet 1, Solihull Moors 1. In the 47th minute, that confirmation of the Norwich City goal that was scored by Josh Sargent, assisted by Kellen Fisher. Goal in Scottish League 2 then. Stirling Albion 2, Forfar 1. Robbie McNabb with the goal there. We have got our monitor now working for the City Newcastle game. So that one's City 3, Newcastle 0. That one's around the 51st minute. Of course, we'll have coverage of all the games around the UK and bring the full-time scores later. All the games, though, back from the half-time break. As Newcastle now starting to press a little bit more. We're going to Newcastle corner. It's been a goal. Morecambe 1, Accrington Stanley 0. The 53rd minute there. So the goal for Morecambe there. So Morecambe 1, Accrington Stanley 2. We'll repeat that again. Corner comes in and there'll be another one for Newcastle. So let's have a quick look while we do get the chance in these quiet few moments of the second half. Let's have a look at what the current scores are in the Premier League. Aston Villa 0, Ipswich 0. Ipswich, they'll have that player sent off, so keep your eye out on that one. Fulham 1, Forest 1, Man City 3, Newcastle 0, Southampton 0, Bournemouth 2, and West Ham 0, Brentford 1. Newcastle starting off on the front foot at the Etihad. Been a goal. Harrogate Town 1, Swindon 0. In the 52nd minute, there's been another one in Scotland as Dundee FC 0, Aberdeen 2. So there you go. They're your opening goals for this one. Aberdeen now 2-0. Toppy Kenson with the goal in the 52nd minute. Good stuff. As now Newcastle try and start an attack of their own, but not good enough. That Harrogate goal in League 2 to make it Harrogate 1, Swindon 0, scored by Jasper Moon in the 53rd minute. Still really haven't seen why the Ipswich player was sent off. I mean, it would provide a lot more information, but you'll see it hopefully very soon. And Blackburn Rovers have scored in what they've said could be the game of the championship. In these 3 PM kickoffs, the best one to watch. Blackburn 1, Plymouth 0. Blackburn Rovers scoring there. We'll see who scored in a second. And Aberdeen, we did say they went 2-0 up. Dundee FC have now just come back. It's Dundee FC 1, Aberdeen 2. So many notifications that are coming in from all the games. It's just what you like to see. So Blackburn find themselves 1-0 up. It was Adam Forshaw, the 55th minute, who scored in the Scottish Premiership. That Dundee goal to make it Dundee 1 and Plymouth 2 was scored by Seb Palmer Holden in the 54th minute. As the games in England further progress on this Saturday afternoon. City starting to press. Paul played in, cleared away from Newcastle. Still ball in the box and cleared away. Just City regained possession of the ball as they're on the side here. And it goes out for a City corner. Maybe City could get a fourth here. League 1 then. Reading 1, Rotherham 1. 57th minute. Sam Nombe with a pen. The 57th minute. There's been a goal. Stevenage 1. Peterborough 0. Still waiting for our first goal in the Premier League. Well, in all the Premier League games in the second half. First one to get it in the first half was Brentford. Ball came in. It was just Header from Haaland, but easily saved. Routine save, really, for Dubraka, the Newcastle keeper. So that one remains 3-0 there. Shane Duffy for Norwich has just been shown a yellow card at, versus Hull City. Jacob Greaves for Ipswich. We've already had one player sent off. Jacob Greaves now shown a yellow card. It's been a goal. Yeovil Town 1, Wealdstone 2 now in the 52nd minute. Welcome back. Let's go over what has happened, because there's been goals and goals and goals. So Walsall have found one against Chesterfield. It's Walsall 1, Chesterfield 1. We'll go over to one in the Premier League in just a second. Kilmarnock 2, St Johnstone 0. Queen's Park 1, Hamilton Academical 2, Cheltenham Town 1, Barrow 2, Motherwell 0, Ross County 2, and Yeovil Town 1, Wealdstone 2. Barnsley now 1, Huddersfield 1, Walsall 2, Chesterfield 1. Now, there's been one in the Premier League, and you will not believe who. Because I definitely do not. I'll give you a clue. They're 10 man. There are 10 men on the field. You got it right. It's Ipswich. Aston Villa 0, Ipswich 1. That is definitely a statement. Liam Delap, the striker with the goal, assisted by Amari Hutchinson in the 56th minute there. That was something. So let's have a look at how that makes the Premier League at the moment. All games now with a goal in it. Aston Villa 0, Ipswich 1, Fulham 1, Forest 1, Man City 3, Newcastle 0, Southampton 0, Bournemouth 2, West Ham 0, Brentford 1. Goal now in the Premier League. And we'll change that scoreline at the Fulham game, because it's not 1-1 anymore, it's 2-1, and guess who it's 2-1 to? It's the home side, Fulham. So let's have a look at the quick updated score then. At Fulham, there you go, there's 2-1. Calvin Bassey with the goal, assisted by Raul Jimenez. Smith Rowe, member, got the first in the 15th minute. However, he's not involved in that one there. Let's have a look at in the other games. Shrewsbury Town 1, Bolton Wanderers have scored, so it's 1-1 there in the 59th minute. Sheffield Wednesday 1, Coventry City 1, Sheffield Wednesday with the goal there. It's all going off now. In the Championship, Stoke City 0, Swansea now 1. All games though in the Premier League with a goal as a result. That is just what you want to see, really, to be honest. So, everyone has got off the mark, to say the least. More goals coming in then. We said it was 2-0 a few moments ago. It's 3, Kilmarnock 3, St Johnstone 0, and Barnsley 1, Huddersfield 2 in the 60th minute, and Barnsley in the 61st. Raith Rovers now 3-0 against Patrick Thistle. So, it's Raith Rovers 3, Patrick Thistle 0. So great stuff done there. And Huddersfield now 2-1 up against Barnsley. So it's Barnsley 1, Huddersfield 2. We've already said that, haven't we? Yeah, that's a bit silly. Raith Rovers, their goal there to make it 3-0 was scored of a penalty. Falkirk have just equalised with AI United. For some reason, all the teams like scoring around the 60th minute. So it's Falkirk 2, AI United 0. It's Raith Rovers now 3-0. Patrick Thistle, Dylan Easton with the goal in the 62nd minute. Whoa, Kilmarnock, that third goal was by Bobby Wales in the 60th minute. They're all coming in with 30 minutes to go in some of the games. Ipswich, though, with that one man down, that's the main one I really want to talk about. Where did it all go wrong for Aston Villa? Because you can't be doing that. Oh, it's power, to say the least. Scottish Championship, Falkirk 2, Ayr United 2. Scott Arfield with the goal there in the Scottish Championship to level it all up. It's all going now. They're all going in. They're all going. It's definitely something to say here. While we get a chance, let's talk about what's going on in the other worldwide sports. NBA All-Star Evening with the dunk contest, skills contest, all that, and more. That's not live on FT Sport. All-Star Tournament tomorrow in the NBA. We'll see what we can do with that one. We know what is live tonight on FT Sport. It's in the NHL, USA versus Canada. It's the biggest hockey game you could ever witness. Four nations face off. That one's live on FT Sport. Hopefully that one gets underway in the early hours of the morning. But whatever it is, it's going to be special to watch, to say the least. Let's move on, shall we? Let's move on. There's that Kilmarnock goal. It was by Bobby Wales. It was assisted by Lewis Mayo. So it's Kilmarnock 3, St Johnstone 0. York have found one in the back of the net. It's Ipswich United 0, York 1. Blackpool 1, Mansfield now 3. Blackpool were 1-0 up at some point. Where's it all gone wrong there? They are the home side, and the away side are dominating at the moment. Greenock 1, Greenock Morton 1, Aridonians 2, so it's 2-1 there. That's probably got to be the game that has the hardest pronunciation of them all. You want to say the least. To say the least, second half's getting right into it now. That Millwall game should be back underway by now. Scottish League 2, Stirling Albion 3, Forfar 1. Ryan Shanley with the goal there. Stoke City have found one against Swansea. Stoke City 1, Swansea 1. The goals were 3 minutes apart there. FC Halifax Town now 1-0 up against Boston United. Shrewsbury Town 1, Bolton have scored, so it's Bolton 2-1 now against Shrewsbury there. Let's continue on. Scottish League 1, Dumbarton 2, Montrose 3 with the goal. Aidan Quinn with the goal in the 68th minute. We've already said that goal in the Championship, but it was Wouterberger with the goal there to make it Stoke 1, Swansea 1. One game that is still 0-0 in the Championship. It's Luton versus Sheffield United. Sheffield United, very high up in the table. I believe they're even second or third. However, Luton, who are last in the table, are still drawing with them. Luton trying to prove a little bit of a fight. They were in the Premier League last season. They don't want to be down in League 1 next season. Let's see what else is happening right now. Ebbsfleet United just gone 1-0 down to York City. Ollie Pearce with the goal. So it's Ebbsfleet United 0, York City 1. It was Berger to make that game 1-1 in the Bet365 Stadium. Stoke 1, Swansea 1. That went in the 65th minute. Greenock Morton equalise. It's Greenock Morton 2, Eridonians 2. Eridonians went from 1-1 to 2-1 in the 65th minute. 2 minutes later, well, Greenock Morton have equalised. So they didn't get underway with at least 2 minutes. 2 minutes or less, really. Greenock Morton now 2-2 with Eridonians in what is the worst pronunciation game so far. Stevenage 1, Peterborough United 1. Peterborough United with the goal, so that's made it all level there. Aston Villa maybe talking to the VAR just a little bit there on the Sky Sports news as the game's just approaching the 70th minute now. We take a quick break as the game's hopefully come to conclusion very soon. Welcome back. Goals in the Premier League. Aston Villa now 1-1 with Ipswich Town. Ollie Watkins bringing Aston Villa back into this one. They shouldn't really be equalising it. They should be at least 1-0 up because Ipswich shouldn't really have scored, should they? AFC Flyde 1, Dagenbridge 1. AFC Flyde with the goal there. Cheltenham Town 2, Barrow 2, 2-2 there. Cheltenham with a goal there. Peterborough 1, Stevenage 1. That was just before we went to the break, though. Ollie Watkins with the goal. And now, let's update the fixtures table. So far, all the games live then. Aston Villa 1, Ipswich 1 now. Fulham 2, Forest 1, Man City 3, Newcastle 0, Southampton 0, Bournemouth 2, and West Ham 0, Brentford 1. Our monitor with the City game not working, but hopefully that's, well, we don't think we'll get it sorted. Goal in the Premier League. Why don't you update that? Southampton crashing one back against Bournemouth. So it's Southampton 1, Bournemouth 2. Let's update that for you. Aston Villa 1, Ipswich 1, Fulham 2, Forest 1, Man City 3, Newcastle 0, Southampton 1, Bournemouth 2, West Ham 0, Brentford 1 there. So there you have it. They are some of the goals that are going in the moment. Just waiting for more maybe to come. That goal for Southampton was by Kamaldeen Sulemana. London Stadium, as it gets darker there. Foggy. Blackpool scratched one back against Mansfield Town. Blackpool 2, Mansfield 3 in the 71st minute. They have 20 minutes to try and get a good result out of that. They were 1-0 up at one point. Now they're 3-2 down. Edinburgh City have scored in Scottish League 2. It's Edinburgh City 3, Spartans FC 0. Aussie C has already scored once. He'll score again. It's Edinburgh City 3, Spartan FC 0 in Scottish League 2. As we hit 4:30 on Saturday in the UK. Games approaching the 70th minute or around the 70th minute now. So many games going on. We're bringing you all the goals as we get them. Some very high scoring games as well. Of course, return to league action this weekend because of the FA Cup last weekend. 71st, 72nd minute at Villa Park. It's Aston Villa 1, Ipswich 1. Watkins kind of rescuing it for Aston Villa, but they need to be up on Ipswich at this point. Because Ipswich are one man down. Delap was the goal scorer when they went 1-0 up. They can't be going 1-0 up if you're an Aston Villa fan. You should be winning easily. If you're a player down, goal, Stoke City 2, Swansea 1, Stoke City with a goal, so they'll take the lead in the Championship. Swansea scored first, then Stoke went 1-1. Stoke had just made it 2-1. Maybe Swansea City could come back in that one to make it 2-2, and it could be left, right. Middlesbrough 0, Watford 1 still at the Riverside Stadium. That one just going up to 76 minutes. There is team news for the other game, Crystal Palace to play Everton. So hopefully we'll bring you that soon. Let's actually bring you that right now. Here is the lineup for that 5:30pm kickoff game. There's already been one at 12:30. Arsenal beating Leicester City. Here's the lineups confirmed by LiveScore for the Crystal Palace Everton game. Crystal Palace with a 3-4-2-1. Dean Henderson in net. 3 at the back of Chris Richards, Marine Lacroix, Matt Gueye. 4 in midfield. 4 in defensive midfielders. Daniel Munez, Will Hughes, Jefferson Lerma, Tyreek Mitchell, and then 2 offensive midfielders, Ismail Sarr, Justin Devaney, and John Fairplay Mattia. Before we say the Everton one, there's Golden Spring in Cheltenham Town 3-2 up now on Barrow. Everton now 4-2-3-1 formation. Jordan Pickford the keeper, Mikalenko, Brainfight, Tarkowski, O'Brien the back 4, Garner and Gueye the defensive midfielders. 3 offensive midfielders, Jack Harrison, Carlos Alcaraz, and Jasper Lindstrom, and Beto up front. Barnett 2, Solihull Moors 1. Of course, there is some players that can't play for Everton because of that red card situations at the end of the Merseyside derby, which was live on FT Sport. So Barnett 2 now, Solihull Moors 1, that one in the 75th minute. Around about 15 minutes to go now in those games. Whoa, it's all heating up just a little bit more. We're more than halfway into the second half. The Millwall one probably is the only game that isn't. Still haven't seen a goal there. Ebbsfleet United 0. York City find a second. So it's Ebbsfleet United 0. York City 2. That goal in the League 2 for Cheltenham was scored by Ashley Hay. That gave Cheltenham the 3-2 over Barrow in these last few moments. Scottish League 1 then, Cove Rangers 3 and an Athletic 1. Findlay Marshall in the 78th minute with a goal. And a sending off in League 2 for Ryan Crooney for Crewe Alexandra. A second bookable offence. So he's gone in the 75th minute. Scottish League 2 goal. Edinburgh City 4 now against Spartans FC. Inez Lawson with the goal. He scored once, I can tell already, in the 75th minute. So it's Edinburgh City 4 now. Spartans FC 0 in Scottish League 2. Goal for Woking against Tamworth. So it's Woking 1, Tamworth 0 in the 77th minute. It's all going. It's great action here on this Saturday afternoon here. And let's show you Premier League scores currently now. Let's let them show up. There you are. Aston Villa 1, Ipswich 1. Fulham 2, Forest 1, Man City 3, Newcastle 0, Southampton 1, Bournemouth 2, West Ham 0, Brentford 1. Of course, the earlier result, Arsenal-Leicester, Arsenal away, beating Leicester 2-0, super sub, Mikel Mourinho. Blackburn have found a second. It's Blackburn 2, Plymouth 0 now, as a result. So Blackburn 2, Plymouth 0. Goal at Blackpool, Mansfield, and they have come back. It's Blackpool 3, Mansfield 3 now. It's all level. They wanted it very badly. They went 1-0 up, 1-1, 1-2, 3-1, 2-3, 3-3 now there. And finally, they found a goal at Kenilworth Road. Luton Town 0. Sheffield United 1, 75th minute. Hopefully we'll find out who scored in a second. Goal for Barnet against Solihull Moors. Lindelof Neville 2 in the 76th minute makes it Barnet 2, Solihull Moors 1. Goal for Ebbsfleet United against York City. So it's Ebbsfleet 0, York City 2. Ollie Pearce with the goal there. We're trying to find out who scored that Sheffield goal there. We'll find out in just a second for you there, but that's a great goal for Sheffield. Not very good for Luton as they go further down the table, and we'll see how that table actually does stand with that goal. Here is the table. Sheffield United do go top by just 1 point, but Leeds United play on Monday against Sunderland. Sunderland 4th in the table, so that's a great game. So we'll see what happens there, but Sheffield United go top of the table with that. And Luton Town are bottom of the table by a point to Plymouth Argyle, who are currently losing to Blackburn Rovers. Blackburn are 5th in the table. Very interesting stuff there. Derby, they are playing Millwall. And a goal in the Premier League. Celebrations in the Sky Sports News studio. We'll just find out who it's for. It's the man on VAR who's celebrating, so who knows. Tranmere 1, MK Dons 1, Luke Norris had the goal there. It was Anel Admahojic in the 79th minute for Sheffield United for Luton, against Luton. So that is 1-0 Sheffield United there. Leyton Orient 2, Lincoln City now with a goal. So it's Leyton Orient 2, Lincoln City 2. Great stuff there. If you're a fan of either side, that's exactly what they will have wanted there. So action in the Fulham game, but that one remaining still 2-1 there. Fulham have the lead in the last 10 minutes as we approach it around the UK. These are the most pivotal moments. Aston Villa 1, Ipswich 1. It remains. Watkins scored in the 69th minute. 10 minutes later, There's a little bit of a chance and a little bit of a talking point there, but it's still 1-1 there. Aston Villa 1, Ipswich 1. Surely, Aston Villa got to come through and win in these last few moments. Goal in League 1, we've already said that. Leyton Orient 2, Lincoln 2. James Collins, though, scored that one. Wigan Athletic 0, Stockport 1. 79th minute there. Stockport scoring there. Last 10 minutes, though, of all the games. Remember, at the full-time whistle, we'll have every single score of every single game in the UK at the full-time whistle as it approaches 4:39 p.m. in the UK, as we get ever so closer to the end of all the 3 p.m. kickoffs. League 1 goal, Shrewsbury 1, Bolton 3 now. John McAtee in the 79th minute with the goal. Just confirmation of the goal of the Sheffield United goal scorer Anel Amahavjevic with the goal. We'll take a quick break here. Last 10 minutes is next. Welcome back. Many a game to go through then, because there's been great goals and even, well, big consequences. So let's start off with Shrewsbury Town versus Bolton. Bolton have scored a third. It's Shrewsbury Town 3, Bolton 1 in the 79th minute. Goal in the Premier League. Southampton 1, Bournemouth 3. So that one's 3-1 there. And big goal. And that will definitely rule it off. Definitely rule off any chances of a comeback for Newcastle. Manchester City 4, Newcastle 0. James McAtee with a goal, assisted by Erling Haaland. So that's 4-0 there. And Newcastle well, it's just not been their day. You've got to hope they do better against Liverpool in the Carabao Cup final. Bristol Rovers 1, Burton Albion with a goal, so it's 1-1 there. Wigan Athletic 0, Stockport County 2. Stockport County with the goal. Celtic found a third. Dundee United. Celtic 3. Dundee United 0. Southend 1. Rochdale 1. Hogan with the goal in the 84th minute. An own goal there. Gillingham, Crewe Alexandra. That one's 0-0-0. That was 1-0, but they've just corrected the score there. And a goal for Morecambe against Accrington Stanley. Morecambe 2. Accrington Stanley 0. Loads of games going to start to go to full time now, as they approach the 87th minute. And it's a question of who come out the victors. So because of the goals in the Premier League, let's have a quick look before they all go to full time. Aston Villa 1, Ipswich 1, Fulham 2, Forest 1, Man City 4, Newcastle 0, Southampton 1, Bournemouth 3, West Ham 0, and Brentford 1. Those are the quick scores. And, well, they'll come on very quickly. Man United start out for the season. We just heard that's just come in by 4-3-3. We'll see what it is. Dalio out for season. That is what Daily Mail Clubs Watcher Chris Wilder has report. Amad Diallo is out for the season after suffering ankle ligament damage in training. Goal in Scottish League 2. East 5th 1, Bonnyrigg Rose 1. Alan Truton with an 85th minute penalty. Game is now just going to the 90-minute mark. One game that won't for a while is that Millwall game. I'll actually check where that is. There in the 75th minute, so they've still got 15 minutes to go. We might just catch the end of that one. Of course, kickoff delayed to 3:15 because of that travel disruption delay. Right then, take a quick drink because they're all going to start coming in very quickly. I'm going to have to say full time too. Approximately a good 50 games, so you can get the fluids in, because this one's going to be an interesting one. You're watching Matchday live, bringing you all the scores. Goal for Bristol Rovers. They take a 2-1 lead in the last 3 minutes. Bristol Rovers 2, Burton Albion 1. Goal in the National League, Woking 1, Tamworth 1, Kyle Finn with the goal there. Motherwell 0, Ross County 3 now, Ross County with the goal. So it's 3 goals now for Ross County. Very good stuff. League 1, Bristol Rovers 2-1, Bristol Rovers against Burton. Confirmation that goal was by Luke Thomas. Ross County, that goal was by Conor Randall in the 89th minute. All just edging very close now to the full-time whistle. Cooper scored in that West Brom game. Millwall, West Brom, Cooper and Bryan with the goals there. Just edging ever so closer to full-time. I mean, the games are reaching 90 minutes, but you need to finish the injury time first. Of course, we'll tell you when and what and how those games end. That's all I can see on my screen. 89, 90, 90, 90, 88, 89, 90. They're all very close. 5 minutes of additional time at Craven Cottage. Fulham, Nottingham Forest. Fulham 2, Nottingham Forest 1. They'll have 5 minutes of additional time there. We're getting just close now to the end of all the games. It's going to be very, very interesting. See them all come in. the Etihad Stadium is Manchester City 4, Newcastle 0. 4 minutes of additional time. There's been a goal for Coventry City. Sheffield Wednesday have a win maybe stolen off of them. Coventry City 2, Sheffield Wednesday 1. You've got to love these late goals that are coming in now. Yeah, scoring a late goal just makes it so good. And Coventry City away as well. The away fans will go home happy. The question is, will it stay that way, or will somehow Sheffield Wednesday find one back? Hillsborough is shook by that. The fans are leaving. I mean, the stands are empty. Ellis Sims with a goal. Bearing in mind they've just gone into the 92nd minute. There's 4 minutes of additional time, so there is still 2 minutes. It's going to be close. If Sheffield Wednesday do score, though, it might just be the biggest upset. First full time of the full times. Scottish League 2. Peterhead 2. Clyde 2. That one going full time there. Whoa. That's the first one. I'm struggling at the first one at this rate. Of course, Peterhead 2, Clyde 2. That was actually 1-1 at the start of this second half. So that was the first one, we have to say. Riverside Stadium, the stands empty in there. Middlesbrough 0. Watford 1, the home side losing, and added time about to run out. Reading score, it's Reading 2, Rotherham United 1. Penalty from Harvey Nibbs, the 94th minute. They take a 2-1 lead. Dumbarton 2, Montrose 3. That one's gone full time in the Scottish League 1. Goal in Scottish League 2, Edinburgh City. They'll have another one, 89th minute. Lewis MacArthur, 5-0 Spans FC. Edinburgh City 5-0 there. Hull Norwich 1, full time. Middlesbrough 0, Watford 1. Raith Rovers 3, Patrick Thistle 1. Goal for Barnet, 3-1 now against Solihull Moors in the 92nd minute. Raith Rovers 3, Patrick Thistle 0. Stranraer 1, Elgin City 0. Scott Target sent off for Alloa Athletic. A second bookable effect. Morecambe 2, Accrington 0. All these games that are coming in are full-time whistles now. So we quickly look at Luton. That's Luton 0, Sheffield United 1. Sheffield United having the lead. They're in the 94th minute. Well, 5 minutes added on, so not long to go there. Scottish Championship, full time. Queen's Park 1, Hamilton Academical 2, Livingston 0, Dunderfilm Line 0, Tranmere 1, MK Dons 1. It's gone full time here at the Etihad. Man City 4, Newcastle 0. Big result for Manchester City there. Alloa 2, Kelty Hearts 0. St Johnstone grab one back. It's 3-1 there. Grime Carey in the 91st minute. Alloa 2, Kelty Hearts 0. Malton 2, Aladonians 2. Let's have a quick look at the Premier League. Those games still live. Only one game will finish. You can see it in red. Man City 4-0. Games finished in the Championship. Luton 0, Sheffield United 1. Also in the Championship, Blackburn 2, Plymouth 0. That one ending there. They're all just coming to an end, slowly but surely. You just love being in position. National League full time. Southend, Rochdale 1-1. Woking 1, Tamworth 1. Stoke have got 3-1 there. That will definitely rule the comeback by Swansea. So it's Stoke 3-1 there. That's a goal. That one's not finished yet. Full time. Sheffield Wednesday 1, Coventry 2. Stevenage 1, Peterborough 1. In League 1. They're all coming in. They're all coming in thick and fast. London Stadium, West Ham 0, Brentford 1. That one's coming to an end too. Premier League, that one's come to an end. Craven Cottage, Fulham 2, Nottingham Forest 1. Oldham 0, Sutton 0. Falkirk 2, AO United 2. Edinburgh City 5, Spartan FC 0. As they hug at and embrace at the Craven Cottage, they have a win at home. East 5th 1, Bonnyrigg Rose 1. Fulham. Oh, that will definitely help them in the Premier League. Nottingham Forest, they're up there. Fulham knock off Nottingham Forest at Craven Cottage. Game's coming to an end then. Scottish Premiership, Motherwell 0, Ross County 3. As we approach 5 o'clock. Well, it's actually 4:54. As games slowly but surely coming to an end. Celtic 3, Dundee United 0, Stirling Albion 3, Forfar 1, Queen of the South 0, Abroa 3, Eastleigh 2, Aldershot 0. That game at the Bet365 Stadium about to end. The Stoke 3-1 though. They scored in the last few moments. Another team that have scored, that ruled off Bolton. Oh no, sorry. Shrewsbury got a consolation goal. Shrewsbury 2, Bolton 3, Eastleigh 2, Aldershot 0, Dundee 1, Aberdeen 2, League 1, Leyton Orient with a winner, 3-2. Charlie Kelman with a goal in the 92nd minute. Southampton 1, Bournemouth 3. As they shake hands there at St Mary's. Aston Villa 1, Ipswich 1. Aston Villa couldn't get past 10-man Ipswich. Reading 2, Rotherham 1. As they're all coming to ends now. Reading 2, Rotherham 1, Wigan 0, Stockport 2. National League, Barnet 3, Solihull Moors 1. They're all just coming to an end now. We'll go for a break, and when we do come back later in just a few moments, then we'll bring you all the results from every single game from these 3 p.m. kickoffs. Barnet 3, Solihull Moors 1, Cheltenham 3, Barrow 1, Wigan 0, Stockport 2, Reading 2, Rotherham 1, Stoke 3, Swansea 1. In the Championship, that one has ended. Oscar Mamouche scoring the hat-trick though, that's the main story. Oscar Mamouche scoring a hat-trick as Man City thrash Newcastle, while 10-man Ipswich draw Aston Villa in the Premier League. Crawley 1, Wickham 1, Ebbsfleet 0, York 2. As more games come to a conclusion, League 1 full-time, Shrewsbury with 2, Bolton 3. Aston Villa couldn't get past that 10-man Ipswich today, which I don't know whether they should be doing better or not. We'll take a break, remember, and when we do come back, we'll have coverage of, well, we'll talk about those results as we know them. Scottish Premiership, Kilmarnock 3, St Johnstone 1. That one full-time there. Close to full-time in London Stadium. New West Ham 0, Brentford 1. One game that is getting closer to the 90th minute. Millwall game. That one was delayed till 3:15. Kilmarnock 3, St Johnstone 1. Shrewsbury 2, Bolton 3. Ebbsfleet 0, York 2. Crawley 1, Wickham 1. League 1, Barnsley 1, Huddersfield 2. There's more games coming to an end. I've got a dry mouth, but we'll keep on going here anyway. I haven't coughed yet, so it's just great, isn't it? Oh my. Barnsley 1, Huddersfield 2 is the recent result that we've just got coming in. We'll hopefully get a few more. Here we go then. Newport 0, Bradford 0. 2 Yorkshire-based teams on the thingy at once, whatever it's called. Teleprompter, whatever you want to call, coming in just after each other. No Yorkshire team, that'll be one to watch. Leeds United against Millwall. It's all about Saturday Night Football, Crystal Palace versus Everton. That one, the lineups are out for that. West Ham, Brentford win there. The Oval 1, Wealdstone 2, Braintree 2, Forest Green 0, Clyde 1, Dragon and Redbridge 1, Gillingham 0, Crewe 1, Halifax 1, Boston United 0. They're all coming in at the moment. But yeah, Crystal Palace, Everton, that's the latest game. 5:30 p.m. kickoff for that one. Back to it then. Gillingham 0, Crewe 2, we've already said that one. Halifax 1, Boston United 0. They've reached the conclusion of the London Stadium. West Ham 0, Brentford 1. I believe that is all the games that have gone. Full time now in the Premier League. So we'll go through them now, shall we? Why don't we? Yes, we will. Let's have a look at 3 p.m. kickoffs. The Aston Villa game is not going, by the way. That's finished. Let's make that finished. There we go. Aston Villa 1, Ipswich 1, Fulham 2, Forest 1, Man City 4, Newcastle 0, Southampton 1, Bournemouth 3, West Ham 0, Brentford 1. Goal for Bristol Rovers against Burton. That's 3-1. Isaac Hutchinson in the 99th minute there. Leyton Orient 3, Lincoln City 2. 88th minute at the Den. Millwall 1, West Brom 1. As games are just coming to an end now. Oh, my voice. I don't think I can deal with it. Crikey, all the results coming in the past few moments. Of course, we'll have all the scores, that one though. Now then, 89th minute. Goal in the finished in the National League. Gateshead 0, Altrincham 1. Another finished result, Bristol Rovers 3, Burton 1. We did see that goal by Isaac Hutchinson there. But it seems like most of the games are finished now. Which I would think so. So I'll take you through the results very shortly. As it hits 5 o'clock. We'll take a break. Results from the games next. Welcome back to Matchday Live. Let's go through all the results. Let's start off with the Premier League. There are your results. Aston Villa 1, Ipswich 1, Fulham 2, Forest 1, Man City 4, Newcastle 0, Southampton 1, Bournemouth 3, West Ham 0, Brentford 1. Let's get the rest of the results from around the country. In the EFL Championship, Blackburn Rovers 2, Plymouth Argyle 0, Hull City 1, Norwich City 1, Luton Town 0, Sheffield United 1, Middlesbrough 1, Watford 1, Sheffield Wednesday 1, Coventry City 2, Stoke City 3, Swansea City 1, Millwall 1, West Brom 1. In League 1, Barnsley 1, Huddersfield Town 2, Birmingham City 1, Charlton Athletic 0, Blackpool 3, Mansfield Town 3, Bristol Rovers 3, Burton Albion 1, Crawley Town 1, Wycombe Wanderers 1, Leyton Orient 3, Lincoln City 2, Reading 2, Rotherham United 1, Shrewsbury Town 2, Bolton Wanderers 3, Stevenage 1, Peterborough United 1, Wigan Athletic 0, Stockport County 2. In League 2, Bromley 1, Fleetwood Town 0, Carlisle United 0, Colchester United 0, Cheltenham Town 3, Barrow 2, Gillingham 0, Crewe Alexandra 0, Harrogate Town 1, Swindon Town 0, Morecambe 2, Accrington Stanley 0, Newport County 0, Bradford City 0, Tranmere Rovers 1, MK Dons 1, Walsall 3, Chesterfield 1. The National League, AFC Clyde 1, Dagenham and Redbridge 1, Barnet 3, Solihull Moors 1, Braintree Town 2, Forest Green Rovers 0, Eastleigh 2, Aldershot Town 0, Ebbsfleet United 0, York City 2, FC Halifax Town 1, Boston United 0, Gateshead FC 0, Altrincham 3, Hartlepool United 0, Maidenhead United 0, Oldham Athletic 0, Sutton United 0, Southend United 1, Rochdale 1, Woking 1, Tamworth 1, The Oval Town 1, Wealdstone 2. Now Scotland, the Scottish Premiership. Celtic 3, Dundee United 0, Dundee FC 1, Aberdeen 2, Kilmarnock 3, St Johnstone 1, Motherwell 0, Ross County 3. The Scottish Championship, Falkirk 1, Ayr United 1, Greenock Morton 2, Ayrdonians 2, Livingston 0, Dunderfilm Athletic 0, Queen's Park 1, Hamilton Academical 2, Raith Rovers 3, Partick Thistle 0. Well, that is it, ladies and gentlemen. Matchday Live has been live and it is done. First ever Matchday Live. We thank you for joining us here on the 15th of February, Saturday. And until next time, we'll see you later. Goodbye.